Hello, I'm Katie.
And I'm Jed.
And welcome to Untitled, the Jackson District Library podcast where we talk about all things books, movies, games, and other media, plus some library-ish things too. Today, we'll be talking to Rachel, our Concord and Hanover branch manager, about Last Night at the Telegraph Club. But before we get started, I want to thank you for checking us out. We really want to connect with you, our community, and help you to find new material to read, watch, and play. We started out by recording first chapters, which is now one of the segments, but it evolved into what you're listening to now. We really hope you email us at podcast@myjdl.com and tell us what you think, ask us a question, or just say hey. So without further ado, we will talk about what's new and coming up at JDL in May. We're going to start off with the new materials that'll be coming to our shelves. Get your holds in now with these. So our first one is The 620 Man, a thriller by David Baldacci. I think it goes without saying that that one is going to be really popular and you'll have to put it on hold or else you're not going to be able to get it for a while.
Well, our next author is John Grisham, and John Grisham has a new book called Sparring Partners. Once again, goes without saying, get on that holds list. John Grisham is always a good read and always is going to have decent holds for it.
Yep. Beyond that, we've got some that we think are going to be pretty popular summer book club reads. So we're starting that off with 3 Debts Paid by Anne Perry. So she is another very prevalent author, and I recently learned some tidbits about her that I had no idea about. Anne Perry, first of all, that's not her original name. She was born Juliette Marianne Hulme. I hope that I pronounced that right. I might not have. My apologies. She is an English author of historical detective fiction, which anyone that reads her already knows that. She's best known for her Thomas Pitt and William Monk series, but in 1954, at the age of 15, she was convicted in the murder of her friend's mother, Honora Reaper. She changed her name after serving a 5-year sentence for Reaper's murder. And that just threw me for a loop to hear that. That
blows my mind.
Right? Like, I never would have guessed that there was that history there.
Yeah, wow. Well, to change things a little differently. Up next, we have The Sweet Remnants of Summer. It's an Isabel Dalhousie novel by Alexander McHale Smith.
We also have The Lioness, which is a novel by Chris Bojalian.
Which we just discovered how to pronounce.
Yes, we needed to look into that one because we were not in agreement on how we thought the last name was pronounced.
For our listeners, here's a little guide from Chris Bojalian himself. He says, Bo, as in ribbon, jail, as in prison, and yen, as in I have a yen for a good book. So there you go, pronunciation guide. Our last book is A Summer Affair by Ellen Hilderbrand, another very popular author.
Yep, those ones always strike me, at least by the cover, which I know you're never supposed to judge a book by its cover, but they always look...
We do.
And it always looks like it's going to be a cozy read and usually gives me like the vacation vibes because most of the covers seem to be set like on a beach somewhere. And I'm like, ugh, I just want that.
Yeah, can I go there? I mean, minus the potential murder and affairs.
Right, yeah, you know. It comes with its sketchiness. You have to pay a price, you know.
So next we're going to talk about upcoming DVD releases, DVD and Blu-ray. To figure out which format we have available, please go to your local library. The first one is going to be Uncharted. This is the Tom Holland starring Uncharted, based on the video games. This one just looks like a good fit for people who are into National Treasure or Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. If you like those kind of map questing, treasure escape kind of movies, this will be a perfect one for you.
Yeah, and we've got a good run with Tom Holland here because we just had Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah, back-to-back releases.
Back in April, so... Our next one is actually going to be a 3-part History Channel docu-series about Abraham Lincoln. Definitely going to want to check that one out.
Yes, our historical nonfiction fans will enjoy this one. Up next is a new Paul Thomas Anderson film, nominated for Academy Award. It's Licorice Pizza. This is an awesome movie, great reviews. It's set in the 70s, and I think if you're a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson, this is one of his better films.
Our last one on the list here is Without Remorse. I know nothing about it, but it sounds intense, and I'm already intrigued.
Well, I see it's an action thriller starring Michael B. Jordan, and he's an awesome actor. So yeah. I think this will be one that I'm definitely going to add to my holds list.
Oh, for sure. All right, so we've just talked about what's new to our shelves. Now we're going to talk about what is new to the New York Times bestseller list. Our first one to start off is What Happened to the Bennetts by Lisa Scottoline. A brush with members of a drug trafficking organization ushers a suburban family to go into the witness protection program. So you already know you're signing on for a bit of a thriller here, that there's going to be a lot of twists and turns here.
A jumping off point. It sounds exciting. Well, the book I'm going to highlight here is The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. Now, this is based on a true story, and it sounds terribly interesting. It's set in 1937 Ukraine, and it's about a history student who transforms into a hunter of Nazis, known as the Lady Death. It's pretty amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, that's the name that I would give myself.
Lady Death. What a cool title. And so after her fame, she's sent to America on a goodwill tour, and it takes place during that time period. So it sounds, I mean, especially with everything going on in Ukraine nowadays, it sounds like this will be popular.
Yeah.
And it sounds really interesting.
Yeah. My next one is 10 Steps to Nanette by Hannah Gadsby. So this one is about a stand-up comedian from Australia who is detailing difficult experiences and the creation of her breakthrough show. So this kind of sounds like it might be a little less intense than the first two that we have listed off, but still might have those heart-pulling moments.
Very personal story, it sounds like.
That it's like this person's journey through creating this breakthrough show. So it's clearly something that they've been working on for a while is going to mean a lot to them.
All right, well, I'm going to finish up this new to New York Times bestseller list with a book that we're going to talk about in a little bit here called Half-Baked Harvest. This is Half-Baked Harvest Every Day by Tegan Gerard. This is the most anticipated cookbook of 2022. It's already number 4 on the Amazon charts, and it has 175 4.5 to 5-star reviews. So here's some sample recipes you can look forward to. There's Jerusalem-style egg and cheese bagel, spicy tuna roll stack, saucy garlic peanut noodles, and strawberry basil margarita. Ooh. Yes to all of the above.
Yeah, I would say all of those sound amazing, and I'm hoping the mic didn't pick it up, but my stomach did just growl while you were reading through those recipes.
Oh man, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm. All of it. I'm just like, yes, please. I'd take 2 orders of each. Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited to talk about our next event. We're finally bringing back book sales. So we're going to have book sales at the Eastern Branch from May 5th to 7th. If you can't make it out, please go to our book sale at the Spring Arbor Branch, and that's going to be May 24th to May 27th. I should also add, we are now accepting donations. That's a huge one.
Yes, but you will want to double check. We do have guidelines in place for what we will accept donation-wise.
Please give your local branch a call.
Yes. On May 7th at 11 a.m. in the morning. Wait, 11 a.m. in the morning as opposed to that random 11 a.m. that happens at night.
Yeah. It happens every now and again.
Every blue moon.
Gotta watch out for it.
May 7th at 11 a.m. we have morning movies at Concord. They're going to be playing Clifford the Big Red Dog at the Concord branch, and there will also be crafts and snacks available while you're there.
On May 9th, we have eco-friendly gardening. Stop by any branch to pick up a kit with materials for planting basil seeds and resources for eco-friendly gardening. That's available while supplies last.
Next up, also on May 9th, this is not every branch, this is just going to be at the Eastern branch. There's 3 p.m. yoga. You will want to bring your own mat. If you don't have one, there are a limited amount of mats available, but again, if you have one, it's going to be easier to just bring your own.
This will be a reoccurring event too, so if you can't make it, look forward to next month's time.
Check out our events calendar at myjdl.com to find out more information about these events and to see what else we have going on. We always have plenty to explore.
All right, so we're going to go into our interview with Rachel from the Hanover and Concord branch. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for that. Hello, Rachel. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So what book did you read?
I read Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. I saw a review on Book Riot, and Book Riot gives me my favorite book reviews, and so I put it on hold right away. It came out last October, and I read it over Christmas break with my kids.
So it's a pretty new release then.
Yeah, yep. And she actually is an award-winning author. She focuses usually on young adult books and looks at different viewpoints of diversity and is known for her ability to educate others in diversity awareness and education. And so I put a real big focus
you have to be tampered. And so it's neat to just juxtapose the two times against each other, or the two experiences against each other.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's like compounding on itself, because it's like, okay, we need to be careful because, you know, we're Chinese American and people are going to think that we're communist and that's not good. Like, we're dealing with that. We need to make sure that we're not associating with people who are that way so that people don't think badly of us. But then also, like, there's the whole LGBTQ plus element to it, that it's like also in the time frame, not really a safe thing to be. So it's like just
Right.
adding on to that and like building that mountain of like, okay, so I can't express this thing about myself or this thing or this thing or this thing or this thing. Okay, let's shorten the list. What can I express about myself and
Right.
still be safe to do so?
Well, and also she has kind of a level of naivete, right? So because she comes from this conservative Chinese American family who's trying so hard to fit in, she doesn't even really have a great understanding of what other experiences are like. And so throughout the book, we see portrayals of people who are out and living that way. And she's like curious about it and wanting to learn more. And I mean, ultimately, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but ultimately, you know, she has to make some decisions about who she is and how she wants to live. And there's a conflict between her and her family that happens once they kind of start to understand her identity crisis, which was kind of, you know, foisted on her because she had already realized who she was.
Right. And that's something, it's like the book is set in the 1950s, but it's like those are still things that will resonate with different people today in, you know, 2022, because there is still, not to the same extent, but like, because progress has been made, but like you still hear it frequently of people that knew that they were gay or bi or ace or however they identified, or trans or non-binary, but just kind of kept it to themselves for a while because they were worried about how family was going to respond. They were worried about how friends would respond or coworkers or any of that, that it's just like still that worry of, okay, what consequences are going to come from this, and am I ready to deal with those consequences yet?
Well, and interestingly, I mean, I think that there's another subplot in there with her like longtime school friend, Shirley, and they'd been friends their entire life. And Shirley she decides to go a very different path and make different choices. And so, you know, it's a whole kind of narration on choices versus identity versus living with or without a mask. So.
Well, what I really love from what I've read about the reviews and the blurbs about this is it's focused on intersectionality, but I think it's really neat, not to keep going back to the communist side of it, but really neat to have intersectionality focus on the political beliefs too, and how your political beliefs can put you in a even different subcategory.
Yeah, there's even that fear of deportation, right? So if her family hears from a neighbor, for instance, that she was in a certain place or seen talking to a person who may not be this upstanding person that they think or may have communist beliefs, they want her to immediately never speak with them again because they're afraid that they will be marked as communist and deported. And so there's a real political and social tension there.
Man, for the time, that seems like such an interesting, like you said, snapshot or time and place to focus on.
Absolutely.
So is this the first time that you've read a book by Melinda Lowe?
You know, it is. And it was really the first time I'd heard of her. And so when I did a little research before coming here today and finding out that she'd won all of these awards and looked at writing and the lens of living as another kind of person versus what society expects of you from a young adult perspective, I think that's an interesting approach to take. And so she has additional, like, specifically YA geared books. And one of them is called Ash, which is a retelling of the Cinderella story. Ooh. So I've got that on hold. And then also she has a psychological thriller called A Line in the Dark that I've also put on hold.
Yeah. I was going to say, just talking about this and hearing the first chapter that you read for us, it's definitely a book that's on my list. And similar, I had never heard of Melinda Lowe. And I'm like, how have I never heard of Melinda Lowe, though?
Speaking of on your list, I kind of, snooped around in our system for this book to kind of see the checkouts and the interest in our community. And you need to get on the holds list for this.
Yes, I actually downloaded it because we don't have it on Hoopla. So for this reading, I grabbed it on Amazon because I wanted to add it to my collection. Right. And so, but yeah, we have a few copies system-wide and they're all checked out.
Yeah, I was going to
say, that's great to hear.
It's one that I've seen while reshelving things and been like, ooh, I need to check that out at some point. And like there was just one time that I have reshelved it and I have not seen it since.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, well, guess I need to actually put it on hold and not just go, oh, look, it's here. It comes home with me today. So
That was
it's
your
not one of those.
opportunity.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that
not
was
a
my
surprise.
chance and I missed it.
Not a surprise and delight kind of thing.
So you said Melinda Lowe writes young adult. Is it like all young adult, or this book in particular is her only young adult?
Well, in this book, actually, we have an adult fiction. And so Lily's 17 and a senior in high school, and I think there's a lot of kind of adult concepts. I would let my children read it with no problem. I think it has a lot to say and a good message. However, her other books are specifically categorized as young adult.
You had said that the book kind of touches on, she's 17, but she's younger, so it's like you're getting perspective, right?
Yes, so it starts out with a prologue of when she's 13, and she's actually at it's like a parade or a celebration, and there's like a Miss Chinatown kind of thing. Pardon me, I don't know if that's the name of it, but that was like the idea, right? And so she's looking at all of these women who are portrayed by society as this ideal woman and kind of, comparing herself. Yeah. So, and then it goes right into chapter 1, which you'll hear today, which is when she's entering her senior year of high school.
Nice.
So let's talk about pacing.
It's interesting because a lot of reviews that I've read seem to think that it's a slow book, and it's 400 pages, so it's a pretty thick book. However, I think that's long, but it's not a slow read. I mean, I think, the story is engaging. We constantly want to know what's going to happen to Lily next. What decisions is she going to make next? How is she going to get out of this situation? Or, does she have to invent something to tell her parents because of where she is? Or,
It gives you enough to build on to really want to get to the end.
Yes,
I think we've all
exactly.
been through a scenario. We've been reading. We get to the end and we think, oh, this is really going to pay off.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I stuck with it.
Yeah. And,
I've also had the opposite where it's like, oh, this is really going to pay off. I'm just going to keep with it. And then I get to the end and I'm like, it didn't.
Yep.
It wasn't worth it.
For me, it was a good ending. And we also got to see a little bit down the road. And so at first you're going through it and you're thinking, wow, I wonder if this is going to end how I think it does. And you end up getting to see her a little bit like a year later after the actual ending. And so it provides some resolution.
Like epilogue?
Okay. I don't know if it's an actual epilogue or if it's just an extra chapter, but there's a definite time period. There's a time lapse there.
I really like how you've got, it sounds like there's 3 like levels of growth. So you really get a perspective of how each of these events lead up to who she eventually becomes.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess one of the things I'd want to recommend is this is a great book club read. I mean, just the things that we're talking about, and we haven't even all read it, and even just trying not to spoil it for anyone. Imagine the conversation we'd have if we'd all,
really
read
dig
it.
in.
Yeah, if we could really dig into some of
It'd
those
be like,
themes.
okay, and 5 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good one for discussion.
Fantastic. It sounds like it. I mean, I keep hitting this point, but the time and place is such a unique approach. It's something I hadn't, when I read the blurb, I'm like, wow, that just sounds really refreshing.
Right.
It provides a great window into the context of the time, right? So you're looking at it through the lens of a girl in high school who's discovering herself and her sexuality, her feelings, how she wants to live, who she wants to be. These are the same things that every high school senior is going through today.
Her place in her family, it sounds like.
Yeah. Only, it's compounded by the issues of the time,
Right.
which were quite a bit different.
Right.
So.
My question is, you were saying that it was a really compelling story, that you were really liking it, that it was a really good window. Do you think it would be one that would translate well to either a TV series or like a movie or something like that?
Ooh,
I hadn't thought about a mini-series. That's a cool idea.
Well, I say, and that's stuck in my head just because it seems to be the theme anymore, that they're like, yeah, we could do this as like a longer movie, or
Well, it
we
sounds
could
like
give it
this-
like 7 episodes.
Given the length of the book and given the multiple perspectives over time, like a mini-series sounds like it would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
loving
we just
that
stole
idea.
your
No,
response.
I totally agree. In fact,
Overruled. It's a miniseries.
I had thought about, movies, but I couldn't think of any authors or not authors, actors that could be a good fit, right? But I mean, that's not my job, right? My job's to recommend books.
Yes.
But, the idea of a series, I could totally get behind that. It would be unique. I mean, that it's hard to find like a really unique plot, and the way this one's portrayed has that bit of uniqueness to
Yeah,
it.
it has that meat to it that others
Yeah.
are lacking. Yeah.
You could really expand that into that full form.
Right.
Yeah.
Were there any parts while you were reading that were like hard to read, either like from emotional perspective or just like the wordiness of it? Like, were there any parts that just like gave you pause for one reason or another?
You know, there weren't parts of the story that bothered me per se. I've always been interested in how we hide ourselves.
Point in the book. Right. And so like so it sounds like they don't like distract from the story or anything like that. So I will definitely have to give it a read through on my own to see if I can spot any.
All right, so I have a 5-star review here from Emily on Goodreads again. It says, beautiful, lyrical, and fascinating. Weaves the complex threads of identity for Lily, a Chinese-American high school senior in 1950 San Francisco, just discovering her first love in Kath, the quiet Caucasian girl from her math class. Readers get a glimpse into the worlds of Chinatown and the gay nightclub scene at the time, while immersed in strong characterization and universal coming-of-age experience.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But I like that it includes all those little niche kind of categories into the review, but then ends it saying that it's a universal coming of age. Like it taps into those things that's like, these are things that are common. That like...
Yeah, through that time period in our life, these are things that we're learning, questioning, understanding.
My next one is a 2-star review from My Books, My Shelf, and I. It says, I'm thinking of DNFing this one, which means did not finish. It's one of these things that is right book, wrong time. I like the story so far, I'm just not really into it that much, and I'm not in much of a mood to keep reading this one yet. I will continue reading it in February, however. So that, to me, touches on an important topic. Books and TV shows and movies, they'll wait for you. They're not going anywhere. So,
Right.
like, if you're not in a good headspace to, like, read through a really good but intense fiction or nonfiction, or like there's just a movie that has elements to it that you're just kind of finding hard to deal with, you don't have to force yourself to keep pushing through it. Like you can set it down and say, I want to come back to this, but I can't do this right now.
That's a great tip for our readers at the library.
Yep.
It's okay to put down a book.
And it's okay to set it aside and finish it later or never finish it. Like there's no compulsion, there's no requirement for you to finish a book that you started. If you know that it's not for you, you're not liking it, you're not excited about reading it, put it aside and find something that you do want.
Can I just also say it's why I have so many things checked out at once?
Same. Same.
All right, so I've got a 5-star review from Lily Perry on Amazon. The headline for this is Wonderful Romance / Coming of Age Book. I read this as a girl who's the same age as Lily. Though I'm not as intelligent as some of the adults writing reviews in here, I have to say I love this book. Spoilers? Well, not really, but still. I was a bit disappointed by the ending, but it was realistic, a bittersweet type of ending. I didn't want to put the book down, and I ended up reading it in 2 days' times, with some breaks. It's a great lesbian / sapphic rep in teen romance books, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Even as much as to say that, I would definitely put this book in my top 5.
Oh, wow. That's a great review.
Yeah. I love the age perspective on that.
Yeah.
And nicely articulated. She really wrote thoughtfully about it.
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
And like, I will just chime in there because they have the part of like, though I'm not as intelligent as the adults in here. It's like, no.
I can test that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I can test that point. Everything else is good because, like you were saying, it was very well articulated and like it was thought through.
Being able to say something succinctly is a talent.
For
Right.
as many reviews as we have to read for this, that was really well put together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, my next one is a 2-star review on Amazon from Santa that is headed with hard to read. I wanted to like this book, but I simply couldn't find energy to read it. It was very slow burn, and that's on me for not liking it. But I think Lily was a bit bland and very full of emotions at the same time. I didn't like the end of the story, very open-ended. However, I am sure that there are people who love this sort of story. The plot was good, the characters were fine, and the time and place where this all takes place is wonderful. It simply wasn't my cup of tea. I think this book is perfect for readers who like reading stories with less dialogue.
You know, I can respect that opinion, but I wonder if the blandness that they think is bland might actually be like a characteristic of that culture and like trying to meet some of those norms that we talked about that aren't really norms at all. Or, you know, whitewashing or sugarcoating that era of history is something that happens quite a bit. So it could be like intentionally written that way. I didn't see it that way. I disagree with them.
Yeah. What I was going to say, and they do mention throughout that they're like, it just kind of wasn't my cup of tea. And that's valid because it's like there are different genres and
absolutely.
writing styles that just hit everyone
The best
different.
thing is they gave it an attempt.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to finish my 5-star reviews with a succinct one, to say the least. It says simply, and this is from Lou on Goodreads, it says simply, being a sapphic means that the only thing you know is pain.
I mean, I think that sounds about right, honestly.
The 5-star review, love the book.
Yeah, loved it, but it's pain.
The pain is so relatable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it hurts so good kind of mentality of like sometimes you want that movie or book that's going to make you cry because it gives you that cathartic release of emotions and things like that.
I now have Hurt So Good by John Mellencamp stuck in my head.
You are welcome. Stay tuned to hear Rachel's reading of the first chapter of Last Night at the Telegraph Club.
Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Part 1. I Can Dream, Can't I? August through September 1954. Chapter 1. That woman is so glamorous, Shirley said, nudging Lily to look. 2 Caucasian women were seated across the restaurant at the table in the alcove. I wonder if she's going to a show. It was Friday night in the middle of the dinner rush, and the Eastern Pearl was almost full. But Lily knew immediately who Shirley was talking about. The red paper lanterns hanging overhead shed a warm glow over the woman's blonde hair. It was pulled up in a twist and pinned with something glittering that matched the droplets in her ears. She wore a royal blue satin sleeveless dress with a scoop neckline, which showed off her creamy skin, and a matching blue bolero jacket hung over the back of her seat. Her companion was dressed much less glamorously. In fact, she wore trousers, gray flannel ones with a soft collared white blouse tucked in at the waist. Her hair was cut short in the current style, but on her it looked a bit less gamine than mannish, which drew Lily's attention. There was something about her posture that felt subtly masculine. Lily couldn't put her finger on it, but it intrigued her. Lily realized she was staring and turned her attention back to the messy pile of napkins in front of her. Beside her, Shirley was moving rapidly through her own stack, transforming them into crisp swans. Lily had spent countless hours in the restaurant with Shirley since they were little, and over the years she'd helped out with various small tasks as needed. Now they were about to start their senior year in high school, but she still couldn't fold a napkin into a decent swan. She picked apart the one she'd been working on and started over. On weekend nights, the Eastern Pearl mainly attracted tourists rather than local Chinese. Shirley said it was because one of the tour companies that brought people to Chinatown recommended it, which led to good business for the restaurant. Lily wondered if the women in the alcove were tourists, and she snuck another glance at them. The blonde was removing a silver cigarette case from her handbag, and her companion pulled a matchbook from her trouser pocket, leaning toward her as she struck a match. The blonde cupped her hand around the flame, drawing her friend's hand close to her face as she inhaled. Afterward, she sat back and offered the case to her friend, who removed a cigarette and lit it quickly, pulling the cigarette away from her mouth with her thumb and index finger. Smoke curled up into the red-lit ceiling. "You're making a mess of those," Shirley said, glancing at Lily's poorly folded swans. "Ma won't like them." "Sorry," Lily said, "I'm no good at this." Shirley shook her head, but she wasn't annoyed. This was the way it always was. "I'll redo yours," Shirley said as she pulled Lily's napkins toward her. Lily sat there for a moment, watching Shirley shake out her messy swan, and then she reached for the Chronicle. She always enjoyed the theater and film reviews and society columns, with their photographs of women in furs and diamonds, and she wondered idly if the blonde had ever been in the paper. "Maybe she's an heiress," Lily said to Shirley, "the blonde over there." Shirley glanced across the restaurant again briefly. "An heiress to a gold mine?" "Yes, and her father recently died and left her with a fortune. But she's discovered that she has a half-brother who's fighting her for the inheritance, so she hired a private investigator to seduce him." Lily shot Shirley a confused glance. "What?" "Well, who do you think that other woman is? She looks like a female private investigator. Only a female PI would look like that. She was probably undercover." Lily was amused. "Undercover where?" "Oh, who knows?" They'd played this game since they were children, inventing stories for strangers they saw in the restaurant, but Shirley tended to lose interest in their inventions before Lily did. "Did you see the new ad my parents placed?" Shirley asked, setting the latest napkin swan next to the others, all lined up like a funny little army. "No. It's in there. I saw it earlier. Keep going. It's on the same page as the nightclub reviews." Lily obediently flipped through the pages of the Chronicle to the After Night Falls column, which took up half the page. The other half was filled with ads for restaurants and nightclubs, and she skimmed them, hunting for the Eastern Pearl ad. "Meet me at Julian's, serving the best Mexican dinner.